Well, got some cage repair to do today, replace a tarp underneath the rabbit hutches. It's not raining for once, so it's a good day to get it done because those cages are empty right now. Let's get to it. Hey guys, welcome back to another Slightly Redneck video. Again, my name's Chris, and if you're not familiar with this channel, I help you to produce your own meat, eggs, and vegetables from your backyard, your balcony, your deck, your garage, or heck, even a spare room in your house if that's the way you want to do it. And today we're working on the rabbit hutch. Like I said, no grow outs in these pens. These cages are empty right now, so it's a good time. I need to replace the bottom in this cage. I need to go ahead and replace this tarp too. It's not completely worn out, but while I'm taking all this down, I might as well go ahead and replace it. I'll show you what I'm going to be using. This is a 5 foot by 7 foot, actually a little over, 5 foot 6 inch by 7 foot 6 inch tarp from Harbor Freight. Get these coupons in the mail, and coupons for Harbor Freight where you buy something, you get a tarp for free. So I usually go in and buy one tarp, get another one for free. It makes them like $2.50 a piece, something like that. It's stupid cheap. And they work pretty well. They hold up for a considerable amount of time. And you know, this one I've already taken down, but basically I've just got it rigged up underneath the cages, kind of a little bit of an angle. Now the droppings and things don't fall into the bucket down here to catch it, but I use this, let me grab it real quick. There we go. Use this wheelbarrow handle, and I just kind of, you know, go underneath the tarp and push them, and everything gets pushed down into the bucket down at the end, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I do it. So anyway, let's work on getting these cages out of here. If you've never seen how I hang the cages, this is a good time probably to show you how I do it. On the front, they're just suspended with wire. So there's wire going up to the top of the hutch right here. And I need to undo that wire. I think I'll undo it up here and get that out of the way. So there's one piece down. And it's just, again, this is just a wire that's, I think it holds 50 pounds, something like that. So two of them on there is holding 100 pounds, and they're not holding a lot of weight, honestly, because you can see once I take these wires off, the rabbit cage still stays up there. Let me get this out of here, and it'll probably be easier to show you how I hang these. They're just hung on hooks in the back. There we go, that cage is out of the way. Let me bring you in close. Okay, so we're looking at the back wall here, and you can see there's a hook right there, and there's another one right over there. That's what the cages hang on. You might be able to see, if I pan over here, how that one's kind of, it's just hung through the back of the cage up there. So hopefully that you kind of make that out. And then again, I've got these wires right here that go up to the wood that kind of help keep it from swaying too much, sturdy it a little bit, and they do hold a little bit, so they keep it from sagging in the front of the cage. So anyway, let me get this other cage off here, and then we'll work on getting the tarp replaced. There we go. Good grief, that was a little trickier than it should have been. There's probably no way that's going to stay up there the whole time, but we'll try. All right, so maybe you can see this now, how I get the tarps up. Just some screws in the back to hold it up there. I tie it to the front of the cage here in the front, and put a screw over on this side over here you may or may not be able to see yet, and a screw right here, which the tarp is torn. That's why this is all tied up right here. So I need to get these screws off of here, get this old tarp out of the way. Let me grab my drill and we'll do that. All right, so that tarp's not necessarily trash. I mean, you could use it for many different things. What I would probably use it for would be to tarp out an area if I wanted to kill the weeds or something like that underneath it. It'd be great for that. It's a little beat up. It's not great for a lot of other things, but you know, you could probably find a use for it somewhere. But let's work on getting the new tarp in here. me back this camera up a little bit. You might be able to kind of see how things are going to go a little bit easier. All right, so I want this tarp to, again, angle kind of down towards the bucket. So I'm going to start at this end right here, try to get that right, and then work my way back up, having it angle up a little bit. Make sure I leave room for the cages to fit in there and whatnot. But it's about the right size for my area, so we're going to... One thing I will say too is you want it to overhang the bucket a little bit, because when you go to lifting up on that to knock the stuff out, you know, it pulls that tarp back a little bit. So you don't want it right here at the edge, because when you go to lift up on it, it'll be over here and it'll be dumping stuff on the ground, if that makes sense. So, or you have to move your bucket before you do it, one way or the other. Now I've already got a screw in that area. I can just loop it over so it kind of hangs on there. And do I have this the wrong way? I do have this the wrong way. There we go. Now we're working. Let me get a screw and a screw in. Oops. And we'll put the other one in here. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and see where I think is probably the right place to put it. I want it low, but I don't want it so low that it's going to impede with the bucket. So I think right here is probably a good place. So we'll just put, I've got a big washer on the end of this screw to keep it from going through the eyelets in the tarp. And I think right here will work. Alrighty, hard part's done. So now let's see, starting in the back, work my way up. I think that right here is going to work pretty well. Oh, I can't reach my drill. There we go. Get this back up here. Actually, should it be? I'm going to stick it in here at least temporarily. I may have to remove it and move it a little bit. Biting flies. It was up here before, but that looks awful loose. But why not? We'll just play it out that way and see how it goes. May have to move that, I don't know yet. And I'll probably put the last one up there. Is that going to work? I think that'll be enough room for a cage to fit in. But again, I may have to, I'll just hook it on there for right now and see how that works. Yeah, I think that'll work actually. Let's put a screw in here, right here. Where's my drill? Actually, I want to pull that a little bit tighter so it doesn't... It's just sitting on a screw over here. You probably can't see that, but I'm going to pull it pretty tight so it stays on that screw. So I'm going to wrap it around here and pull it. And hopefully that's enough. I may have to go back through and put a tighter screw in there. I don't know yet. Hopefully that's enough to hold it, so... Now let's see if I can get a cage in there. I may have made it too tall. This cage doesn't need any repairs, so it can just go right back in there. Yeah, I think that's going to work pretty well. Yeah, I think that's going to work pretty well. Let me bring the camera in close, I'll show you. All right, it's probably pretty hard to see on camera, you get the depth, but you know, there's a nice decrease here. You don't want the tarp inside the cage too much because the rabbits will bite on it, they'll chew it up. But this is enough to give it, I think, a gentle slope so the urine will run off. The feces, again, won't run off. I'll have to work that in there to get that out of there, but I think that's going to work out pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and wire this cage back up on here. All right, so before I can get this new bottom on, I've already got it cut to size. I've got to take off this old bottom. So get out of the way. Move, Max, buddy, move. That's always a little bit tricky getting these J-clips off here, but if you just grab them just right, I use a pair of needle nose pliers, they'll bend out of place and you can just take them off. It's not that bad. It just takes, like I said, a little bit of trick, a little bit of work to get them off there. That one I'll take off in a minute. Some of these I'm just going to leave on there because they're holding the baby saver wire on the front too. So I'll take the cage wire off the bottom, but I won't necessarily take the J-clip completely off. All right, there's the old bottom. Time to get the new one on. I find it easier just to turn it upside down for this. Now, when I put the bottom on my rabbit cage, I always want to put, let me put these pliers down. There's a natural bow to this. So you can see it wants to bow this way. Put that to the inside of the cage. That way with weight on it. If you put it the other way around like this, it's going to sag in the middle as the rabbits start to put weight on it. So we're always going to put it like this. It's never going to fit on there just perfect. We're going to have to kind of rig it up on one corner and just work our way around. But it'll get on there. So, of course, I'm using J-clips to put these on. And the biggest thing about J-clips, I would say invest in a decent pair of J-clip pliers. These are pretty decent pair of pliers, but the handles have kind of worn off of them. Makes them a little bit tricky to use. I'm not even in camera, am I? Let me bring the camera over here a little bit closer. You can see how I get this done. All right, so to put these on, it's not that tricky at all. Best to wear a pair of gloves because these edges on these metal are sharp. I need to get my pliers ready to go though. And I can't do that with my gloves on. So these are J-clip pliers. These are the J-clips, and they just go in. I always put the, I don't know if there's a right way or wrong way to do this, but I always put the part that has the actual bend to it down with the part that has the double hooks on it, if that makes sense. So we're gonna put, just set the cage on here like so. The hardest part is getting started. It'd be nice to set a bucket or something in the middle there to hold it in place, but all I really need is this corner. So let me get it there. There we go. And then I'm just gonna make sure that J-clip goes around the wires I want it to go around and clamp it in place. And that's it. That's the first one done. So now I'm gonna work my way around through it. I don't like to do the corners first. I like to work my way down to the corner, if that makes sense, because sometimes you'll end up with a gap in there or something like that. And it's just, I think it's just best to work it the other way around. So we'll just work our way down. I'll go at the corners. I like to go a little bit, I can't talk and do this at the same time. Get that all lined up. There we go. I like to go the corner and then skip one and then do one, and then I'll skip 2 or 3, do one, skip 2 or 3, do one. It doesn't matter how many you put on, just enough to make it sturdy. I have had J-clips fail in the past. If you guys have been watching videos, you know I had a problem with that not too long ago. But usually they hold up pretty well. So right here is probably good enough. All right. Again, the trickiest part about these is when you put them on, make sure you twist them a little bit to make sure it's got all the wires in there. I've clipped them on there and then moved my pliers away and found out I didn't get that wire caught in the J-clip or something like that. So you always want to make sure that everything's caught in the J-clip whenever you're putting these on. Other than that, it's not really that tricky. It's pretty self-explanatory. All right, so got the bottom on this cage. Time to get it set back in there. Again, it's not that hard to do. This is pretty easy. I just hook it through the top of the cage on those hooks back there in the back. Make sure it's not too close to one cage or the other, or one side or the other. Oh, and of course that's going to be in my way, isn't it? There we go, got it hooked. And then wire it back up. That's all there is to it. And hook up the automatic watering system again. Set it up in these cages so when I do need to use them, they're ready to go. There we go, all hooked up. Everybody always asks me why I made the roof so tall on my rabbit cages instead of right down on top of it, mostly for storage. So I store, you know, the nest box goes up there, you know, nest box. It gets stored up there. And water bowls, you know, wintertime use water bowls, they get stored up there too. Just makes it a convenient place to set that kind of stuff. I might as well close this door. And there we go. I think we're gonna work out well. And while we're out here, let's take a look at Mama and the babies here. They're doing pretty good. We got one baby out of the nest box way back there in the corner. They're a little bit young right now. They're only, let's see, a week and a half to about 10, 12 days old, something like that. So he's a little young to be out of the nest box, but I'm not so sure I can catch him right now with her. She is grumpy and may not let me get back to him. You gotta move around. Move around. I might be able to block her off with the nest box, get a hold of him, and get him back in there. There we go. There we go. But they're all doing pretty good. So far, so good, no problems. They just, they're getting to that age where they want to venture out of the nest box. Within a couple of days, they'll be able to get in and out on their own, so it won't be a big deal. So I don't worry about it too much. Well, I know I've had several of you ask about how I have my tarp system rigged up, how I use that. Hopefully that kind of explains it. It makes sense. It's done a pretty good job of keeping the area underneath my hutches fairly clean. I wouldn't worry about it except for it's right up against the side of my house. So of course I don't want manure and things like that right up against the foundation of my house. So that's why I use these. If I had it out there, which I plan on moving it out there eventually, where more like where the quail hutches are out in the tree line a little bit, I'm just gonna let the droppings fall to the ground, shovel them up every once in a while. But this is working out well for me so far. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. As always, God bless.